Our next presentation is for the Brennan Outstanding Advocate Award. This award was established to recognize individuals who have worked to make systemic changes in policies that govern the provision of education and mental health services at the state or local level. Nominees may also have worked in establishing collaborative partnerships with other groups who work on behalf of children. This award was named after OSPA's longtime executive director, Mrs. Ann Brennan, who was widely lauded for leading our association's advocacy efforts for a generation. This occasion marks the very first time that OSPA is recognizing a recipient with this distinguished award. My colleagues and friends in school psychology, I am very pleased to inform you that we are in the presence of greatness today. Here to join us today for presenting this award is our retired executive director, our dear and beloved friend, Mrs. Ann Brennan. Ann Brennan, please rise. Come on up here. Come on up here. We are pleased to announce that our first ever recipient of the Ann Brennan Outstanding Advocate Award is Dr. Antionette Miranda of The Ohio State University. Dr. Miranda has been the director of the school psychology program and professor at The Ohio State University. She is a twice elected member of our State Board of Education, where she currently serves. She also served as OSPA president starting in 2001, and in 2006, our OSPA Executive Board recognized her with the Clyde Bartlett Distinguished Service Award. For more than 20 years, Dr. Miranda has led the school psychology program at Ohio State and its focus on social justice and culturally responsive practices within an ecological problem-solving model, with a particular emphasis on urban issues in school psychology. Her efforts in recruiting, training, and mentoring graduate students and early career professionals from diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds is a model for everyone nationwide in our shared profession. At our most recent NASP convention in Denver, Dr. Miranda was a presenter on the topic of supporting equity, diversity, and inclusion while working in challenging environments. She also presented at the most recent NASP Public Policy Institute 3-day workshop in Washington, D.C. One session, titled Advocacy Close to Home, recounted her experiences supporting gender and sexual minority youth while being a member of a state's Board of Education. She was also a featured speaker on the topic of the role of school psychologists in dismantling systemic inequity and disrupting harmful legislation. Dr. Miranda has also served as a co-editor of a textbook titled School Psychology and Social Justice, Conceptual Foundations and Tools for Practice. While serving on our State Board of Education, Dr. Miranda has been a tireless and fearless promoter of protecting the rights of all students, most especially those who have been targeted for exclusion and discrimination. She has never shied from stating her position and has been an effective voice in rallying others to her point of view. This has included initiating a lawsuit with many of her colleagues on the board to stop a takeover that would strip parents, local districts, and communities of their governance and oversight. As Dr. Miranda and her colleagues noted, and I quote, "For decades, parents in Ohio have gone to the voting booth to exercise their right to elect representatives empowered to advocate for them at the local and state level. We will not sit back and let such a brazen power grab that flies in the face of Ohio residents who value local input and control over their children's education." As our OSPA Executive Director, Rachel Chilton, noted, it is one thing to advocate for issues one believes in and are important to the roles and rights of school psychologists and the children they serve, but it is another thing entirely to run for an office that amplifies that voice for our entire profession. Dr. Miranda's role on the State Board of Education is a demanding one that requires hours of engagement on statewide efforts to improve education, contact with her constituents to make their voices heard, and the courage to speak loudly in a public forum when faced with injustice. Dr. Miranda brings a passion to her role representing her districts and brings the expertise of school psychologists to the forefront. It is for these reasons that Dr. Miranda embodies what it means to be an outstanding advocate. Her advocacy is a model for school psychologists all over the country, and our executive board wholeheartedly agrees with this sentiment, and as such, we are pleased to surprise Dr. Miranda today by informing her that we have sent along her nomination to the National Association of School Psychologists for consideration of their Advocacy Award. For all these reasons and many more, our Executive Board is proud to recognize Dr. Antionette Miranda with the first ever Ann Brennan Outstanding Advocate Award. Congratulations, Dr. Miranda.
So I did write some things because I didn't want the cueing of music to get me off the stage because I was talking too long. So I want to first thank the OSPA Executive Board for choosing me for this award. I am truly honored and humbled as I have the utmost respect for Ann and the incredible work she did on behalf of OSPA and the children of Ohio. I've known Ann for a long time, and I also consider her a dear friend. Attendance at my first board meeting is when I realized that Ann faithfully attended the 2 board meetings a month and had done it for years. She was quite beneficial to me as she helped me become familiar with the players, some of their antics, but more importantly, how the board intersected with the department. Ann was a champion for children in Ohio, especially those most vulnerable and marginalized. She was a true asset to OSPA. And I might add, Rachel Chilton has done an admirable job following in her footsteps. While advocacy has always been a part of what I do, being a state board member took advocacy and engaging in socially just practice to a new level. And that's another whole lecture. If you want to meet me afterwards, I'll tell you about the lawsuit. I want to thank some folks who came to celebrate with me. First, my daughter Michelle, who it seems is following somewhat in my footsteps as a program manager at The Ohio State University of Outreach and Social Change. My family has been incredibly supportive, and my son, who has a diagnosis of spastic quad cerebral palsy, taught me the importance of advocating for students with special needs, but more importantly, teaching him how to advocate for himself. My colleague, Larice Joseph, who took a chance with me in 2000 when I proposed an urban social justice program, focus for the program. She said, I'm all in. My colleague, Dr. Keisha Radliff, who has been a collaborator and partner in writing about social justice and school psychology. I am thrilled that fellow board member Michelle Newman, representing District 8, is here. She's a mom who ran for the board to advocate for public education so her child and every single child in the state of Ohio would have free access to high-quality education. I've been blessed to do this advocacy work with 6 fellow board members. Now, there are more. There are 19, but these are my special ones. We call ourselves the Magnificent Seven. We are the ones who brought the lawsuit and sued the governor, where we have worked hard to be agitators and activists. And finally, there are many current and former students in the audience. I want to thank them for making me a better teacher, mentor, and advisor. They are doing incredible advocacy work in the field. Thank you.